does it feel really to be saying, really, in a sense, you're saying something contrarian maybe by saying you should disconnect also from technology?
It's not contrarian at all, Archana, because I and Tanuj, both of us are great believers in the transformation power of technology, and we have practiced that in our professional lives. Whether the work I do at Infosys for companies, or what I did at Aadhaar, or being an advisor to NPCI for UPI, they're all part of the same thing. That how does technology improve lives and so on. But what has happened is that these new technologies have become overwhelming especially for young people, and they will spend hours on this, and often the mood is, affected by it and so on. So this is really saying that, look, technology is very much in our lives. In fact, the pandemic has further accelerated the role of technology in our lives. So walking away from technology, living a monastic existence is not feasible for us.
Sure.
At the same time, how do we use technology better? So this is more about digital hygiene, how to use technology better, how to be on top of things, how to remain calm. As we say in the book, it's not anti-tech, it's pro-you. And it's something we need to think about because for the pandemic, we have rules for individuals, right? We say you should wear masks and you should social distancing and whatnot. The point is that for digital hygiene, there are no such rules. Either people say walk away from it all, which is not practical, or they just criticize large companies. There's no practical, pragmatic sort of place. This is what this book does, Archana. So it's not at all contrarian.
In a sense, I think, if I may use the term, I think what you are advocating is intermittent digital fasting, I would think. I mean,
that's a good way of putting it. The other thing is, see, what has happened is, in the real world, context, when we change our context, we sort of adjust to that. For example, when I go to a library, I know it's a place for reading, quietness, and doing work. When I go to a bar, it's for socializing and having a drink. When I go to the park, it's to have a walk and breathe fresh air. But in the digital world, they're all mixed up. On your device, you're one click away from all of these things. And therefore, being able to segregate your digital life in the same way that we segregate our physical life into different modes, and using that either with hardware or software, as we have talked about, is what we recommend.
So is this more like if I could put it, is this more like a luxury that only a few can afford, given that, we are into a 24/7 kind of lifestyle, especially, with companies also, and the way we work as digital natives. It's only something that a few can kind of, choose to live that kind of a lifestyle.
I want to come in because, look, you can point at a Nandan and say that he's an exception. I am not, right? I have a day job. I have friends who are on social media. I am exactly like you. I waste my time on Twitter, on Netflix, right? And I can tell you this. So what you just said, that feeling, that apprehension. Let me point out and tell you point blank. This is fear masquerading as exceptionalism, right? Of course, it can work for somebody, not me, right? But that's because we are so afraid of making that change. We are afraid of trying to actually do something about it. But the truth is, you switch off your phone, you will still live. In fact, you will have a great existence, for the next 2 days if you actually manage to do that. We've just forgotten what it's like to have these boundaries. Because 24/7 expectation starts not with others from ourselves, it is from ourselves, right? And that's what this book tries to talk about also. And you can set a boundary, you can decide this, when I am here, I am doing this, I am fully present. When I am not here, I'm switched off. This is how the world used to work till even I would say, late 2000s, like 2010 also, this was office, right? Office was something you go to and you come back. Nowadays, yes, it's become like this, but it's only 10 years old. The world still, spun 20 years ago, 30 years ago. You can't say that time has irrevocably changed. If anything, this is the exception. Us being disconnected and always on is the exception. It's a very brief period of time. And as soon as we start doing it, I think people around you start respecting it, following through. And that culture shifts take time, but it's really not a privilege for the few.
It's interesting that Nandan mentioned about, that how we have rules for everything, but for digital hygiene, there are no rules. But I know it's a very difficult question to answer, but who sets those rules?
No, these rules are set by yourself. There's nobody else setting the rules for you. I mean, For example, we talk about three modes of our use, right? One is the create mode. And the create mode is when you have to be quiet, when you want to think, when you want to write articles. Now, the create mode, obviously, you don't want hundreds of interruptions, because if you're writing an article and your phone is pinging every minute with some WhatsApp notification or something, or a Twitter notification, then you keep getting distracted. So how do we create a profile where we are in the create mode, where we shut out these things? Or we have something called curate mode, where you do things like watching a movie or reading up some article, reading up stuff, which is a more flow kind of thing. And then you have a communicate mode where you talk or exchange messages with everybody. So these are different modes. And now in my case, I have a different device for each mode. So I do all my create on my laptop, I do all my curate on my iPad, and I do all my communicate on my phone. So I've artificially used physical devices to segregate. So if you let your context keep on changing every second, you will be very, very ineffective. And if you have multiple applications open, every one of them is pinging you every 2 seconds. You got some Slack channel telling you something. As much an epidemic as the pandemic, right?
My question is actually quite related to what Archana was alluding to. One would ideally want to have a good balance in your life, but one may not be allowed to have that balance because of the external influences that you have at every stage in a daily routine. So that's one of the massive challenges that each individual faces who does not control his or her time.
I think the book's focus is on aligning your attention with your intention, because a lot of us spend our day busy but not productive in that sense, right? Like all of us feel at the end of the day, oh my god, my time went here, there, whatever. But your attention was being pulled into directions that it need not have gotten if you had complete control over your day. But even if you have 1 hour a day, do you have the ability to spend that 1 hour on the thing that matters to you the most, or in that 1 hour are you going to scroll Instagram, Twitter, TikTok? That is a question worth asking, even if it's 1 hour a day, even if it's half an hour a day. And I think the answer for a lot of people has become no. So
I think that's about it. Thank you so much. That's it from my side. Thanks so much for sparing the time, and it was a really great conversation.